Hello and welcome to another episode of Between the Fifties podcast talking about all things Australian Rules Football. And my name is Russell, and with me, as he is every week, Cameron, also known as Big Red. How are you, mate?
Good, thanks, mate. Yourself?
Yeah, good, mate. Good. Because we live stream Friday, I feel like, as we just mentioned before, I've totally forgotten about that entire night. And I feel like I've just forgotten so much that happened over the weekend with footy because obviously I was out most of the time and I still managed to catch most of the games, but it seems like even though we're doing a podcast on a Monday, which is different for us, I feel like it was so long ago since the round started.
Yeah, it does feel like that, doesn't it?
It does, actually. It does. Start us off, mate. What is your moment of the round?
Dusty's goal in his 300th. Like it couldn't have been scripted any better, could have it? And 92,000 people there to watch him. I think farewell. I think he's put the.
Yeah.
I think he's hung him up. That was enough for me. Or he doesn't travel to Perth in after the bye. Goes. I got one more. Plays. I think they travel after the bye, or they play Carlton after the bye. One of them where he goes, Carlton, let's play 100,000 at the G. See you later.
I actually thought he was going to say he's finished when he was talking to Jack Reward after the game. I managed to get home for the second half, I think it was. And yeah, when he was like after the game and those scenes of him and for the crowd to be as big as it was for, bottom, what were they, third to bottom, and I mean Hawthorn are doing pretty good, but majority Richmond, like it was an incredible crowd for kind of there to see one guy and celebrate his 300th, and as you said, that goal to start it off, like it's almost like rigged material, him kicking that first goal, but obviously it's not.
It felt, and just the raw, it
Yeah.
was, it reminded me of that period of dominance of the Tigers. Every game at the G sounded like that.
It really did. Yep.
Does it cement him now as like, just, is he the GOAT?
I was going to ask you where you rate him in the scheme of best players in the AFL in history, I suppose, or in our lifetime.
In history's hard. In our lifetime, he's probably 2 or 3 for me. He could be 1. I think there's an argument for. I think there's 4 guys that there's an argument for that could be number 1 that I've seen since I've started watching footy.
Yeah.
But he's definitely the best finals player I've ever seen. There's not someone that will come close to it. Whether people say he deserves some Norm Smiths or he doesn't, regardless or not, he still had a Norm Smith-worthy caliber game, even if he wasn't the person that should have won it in people's eyes.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, what is he? 3-time premiership player, 2-time Norm Smiths?
3 Norm Smiths.
3, and then a Brownlow.
And a Brownlow. And in that Brownlow year, also had the AFL MVP, the coach's MVP, the finals player of the year, the best and fairest. Like, it's the best single season we've ever seen. Like, it will not. I don't think we'll see it in our lifetime. I mean, maybe there's a certain player that runs around in black and white that could get close, but that.
I thought you were going to say Horn Francis.
Oh yeah, or Horny, or Hornet. Yeah, he's a goat. But yeah, it's one of those. It's one of those things. Unfortunately, the way he is, I don't think he gets a farewell to. It sounds stupid. It sounds a bit American, but I think he deserves a farewell tour. I think he deserves to go to every stadium and be recognised as the great he is, because I think the way he is, it sort of will just go under the rug.
He likes that though. He did. I could get the sense he didn't even want to be interviewed by Rewalt. It was a little bit of an awkward interview.
It was a very
Rewalt
awkward
said
interview.
like 3 times as many words.
Yeah,
and
that's just Dusty though. That is just Dusty.
Yeah, it is. It is.
So that's. I don't think he would have done. Oh, sorry. You go.
I was going to say, in saying that, he didn't play. to do this farewell tour, would have had to play last week. They rested him for this game.
Yeah, but yeah, which I was annoyed because I'd love to have seen him at Adelaide Oval one last
Yeah,
time. I guess he's probably not at the caliber he is or he was, but also as much he's probably doing as much as he actually can, and the team's not there.
yeah,
Like people are
very
saying,
true.
"Oh, he's lost it," but his stats aren't that far off. It's just the team isn't that great at the moment.
No, exactly, and he's not. He's not really. He's not. No, he's not playing anywhere near as midfield minutes as he used to as well. And he's not even being a one-out full forward. He's like this high half forward type of player these days.
Yeah,
Which is not an easy position to get like tons of touches. So, but yeah, one of the greats, and what a career he's had. And I'm with you. Although I reckon he might finish out the year. I reckon he's going to finish up, and I reckon it's probably a good time for him to pull up the boots as a one club player
I don't think he plays another game.
at all.
I think he's done. Yeah, I generally
Why
think
wouldn't you
those are the
just say
last.
it on the oval?
Nah, it's not him. It's
Yeah,
not him. I
against the
know it's not
Blues
him,
next week though.
but I think the fans deserve to actually say goodbye. But
Yeah,
that is their goodbye. That's a great goodbye. Not don't tell me players don't have pull in this competition. Like
yeah,
people go
yeah,
to watch players, and it's the same as it's not the same. It's not the same caliber, but Tech's 250 last year. It was I think the Crows' second highest crowd attendance last year
yeah,
against West
yep,
Coast on a Saturday twilight. Like who cares about Saturday twilight games? And even Rory Sloane's 250th last year. It was a huge attendance. Again, it was a Saturday twilight. So players have pull, and I don't think people realise how appreciated they are until, unfortunately, their career is done, and that's just the way football is. But for me, I think Dusty always had that, always had the pull, and always was appreciated throughout his career.
that's true. He definitely was. And one of the when you mentioned Texas 250th, and like I guess the player himself drawing a crowd, the one that I remember from Essendon's point of view was the first game those players come back after that year suspension.
Yeah.
And Worsfold was then coach that time. That was his first year as coach, or second year actually at the time. But all those players come back, and the crowd at I think it's Essendon Hawthorn round one, and it was like one of the biggest crowds of an Essendon Hawthorn game ever. And I remember that was purely to support them and those players. Obviously, whether they did the right or wrong thing, it's debate for another day.
That
But
will open a can of worms.
that definitely will. Maybe we can do a podcast one day on the biggest controversies in AFL history.
Or just
That'd be fun.
Big Red and Russ's controversies, because we've got
Yeah.
6 or 7 things that we're divided on.
I like it. I actually did that. I wrote down some podcast ideas. This is totally kind of, well, it's not off topic, but today, because I was just sitting there on the iPad, and I've got a podcast idea for issues of the game where we can sit down and talk about our
Ooh,
3
that
or
could be
4
a good
like
one.
biggest issues in the game and debate them. That'd be fun. I will go to my moment of the round, and I'm going to go. I hope his first name is right. Joel Amartey. Is it Joel?
It is.
Yeah. Who would have thought this kid would have? Oh, I guess he's a kid. Kicked 9 goals. In a game of footy. Oh, I didn't see it coming at all. But I mean, I know it's probably not something that you want to really remember being at the game Saturday night.
Oh, no,
After a rough day.
I wanted 10. I wanted to bet a game where someone kicked 10. I thought that'd be cool.
It would have been cool. They kept taking him off.
Well, and Tom
They,
Patley didn't realise the sense of occasion and tried to kick freakish goal instead of handballing it to him. So
That's right. They were some of the like. I remember McDonald and Warner were looking for him, couple of
Yeah,
times, but yeah, kicking 9 goals, it's pretty impressive. But like he was taking grabs from everywhere. Sometimes it felt like he was on his own and no one was near him. But
it definitely
yeah,
didn't
Joel
feel like
Amartey
that
for
at the
me.
game. It definitely didn't feel like that at the game. It generally every
What, that
time
he
I
was on
looked at
his
him,
own?
yeah, it looked like he had someone on him every time. Um, and
Who was
yeah,
on him? Just curiosity.
I'm pretty sure Butts started on him, and
Yeah,
then they moved. I think they moved Keane to him, and then
yep.
it was just whatever it was. Like, I think even I was on him for a point out there. Like it was that. It was
That's
bring a
true.
fan. Let's try getting a fan out there to defend him because he was everywhere. Like, and it was like one of those games that you didn't expect, but was the reason I feel like the reason they were in the game. Because if he kicks 3 goals of his first 5, he kicks 1 goal 4. They're not in the game.
Yeah, very true.
So
Very
I
true.
feel like he was like the first half was the main reason they're in the game. Obviously, Grundy and Gordon, and we'll probably speak about that game a little bit later. But yeah, I feel like he was part of the reason that they're in that game.
Yeah, no, definitely. Well, we might as well we'll talk about that game now while we're already on it. You're at the game, so you might have been able to see a bit more of it than I did in terms of obviously the Crows, and I actually thought they didn't play that bad of a game. Obviously, it fell away in the last quarter and a half, but up until half time, they were obviously well and truly in it. But
Yeah,
yeah,
from midway through the second quarter, the game was Sydney's. It was only a
yeah,
quarter and a half. They were 20 something points up, but Sydney kicked 4 goals in 5 minutes, and all of a sudden they were 3 points down at half time. Like,
that's
and then
right.
all of a
Yeah,
sudden, the Crows were obviously they were competitive in the third quarter, and they got it out to 13, 14 points. And then next thing you know, I looked and Sydney were in front, and they were in front by 4 goals, and I was like, "What the fuck?" And I didn't even leave my seat. Like I didn't even leave my seat. So obviously, there's a bit of debate around some of the stuff that happened. The Taylor Adams going down, which I mean, I don't like that players go down like that. Like everyone says, "Oh, Hinge come from a long way away." Papley saw him coming. Sorry, not Papley. Adams looked at him, saw it coming, and then went down like a sack of shit. But in saying
yeah,
that,
he did.
don't do it. I'm
Yeah,
all for a bit of brute and grunt and stuff like that, but also there needs to be some times where the umpires call it out, because sometimes you'll have players that will go down for nothing and they still pay a free kick. So, um,
no,
and then
yeah. Go on, mate. You're right.
and Papley also was given a bit of lip. So like, it's not like he was just innocently going in to celebrate with his teammate. Like he was giving it to people. So
You mean Taylor Adams?
sorry, Taylor Adams. Sorry. Normally it's Papley on the
Yeah,
receiving end of this shit. So
it normally is. I Yeah, I agree slightly. Although I remember when I first seen it happen, I was like, "That is just dumb from Hinge, just dumb." But
yeah.
at the same time, Adams did go down like a sack of shit, and there was a fair bit of spite in the game. There was a bit of push and shove around, um, quite a few
I
times.
was I was all from last year though, because of the
Yeah,
goal
probably.
the non-allowed goal. But also, I don't know if it was me being at that game, and obviously when you're at the game and you're going for the team that is losing, it feels like everything's going against you. But that period where Sydney got the run on, it generally felt like they got everything. And I know that happens in footy, but there was a few times where on the 50, there was a Crows player that marked the ball in the wing. The Sydney player got told to stand 4 times. How many chances do you need to be told to stand?
That's right. I do remember
Like,
that. Yeah, yep.
and Sydney is so good at it. They move off the mark or they jump up and down on the mark. You're not allowed to move on the mark at all. Any mark
Oh,
you're on. Like
yeah.
One in the pocket was sitting in where Fogarty or one of the defenders had the ball and they were kicking it out, and Chad Warner is jumping around waving his arms, and the umpire hasn't caught anything. That's 50. You can't move on the mark.
Yeah. Mark. Yeah.
So are the rules slightly changing and the fans don't know about it? Because I'm okay with players being allowed to jump on the mark, jump up and down. That's always been a thing of football growing up. But if it's not adjudicated properly, when do the rules happen? Like it feels like the stand rule doesn't exist anymore, or it does at certain times, and it's going to cost teams a game, or it's going to cost teams. Like, it could cost teams momentum. I mean, again, we saw it on Friday night with St Kilda. They kicked 4 or 5 in a row and then had a 50 because the player ran back to stand the mark and do the right thing. Oh, sorry, you can't do that. Well, why can't he do that? You didn't say stand. And it's not stand on the mark if you're behind the player. Yeah. And then even the advantage rule, I feel like, is a bit broken too, because there was one where it was a ruck free kick, didn't know who the free kick was for, and everyone stopped except Chad Warner, and he's almost at 50 and they call play on. Like, how's...
Yeah, I don't remember that. Yep.
I'm all for advantage, but that's taking the piss. That is taking the piss. Like, the bloke's almost in the goal square, and you've called advantage. Like,
I remember that one now.
I don't know where the rules are heading, and I've had a couple of friends that I speak to, and they don't want to watch footy at the moment because the umpires are having too much of a say in games. I kind of disagree, because every time I see a free kick, and obviously we didn't do a podcast last week, but the Max King one, and then there was, I think, the Elliot Yeo one, which we probably both had divided on. I think they're definitely free kicks. Doesn't matter. I know they're both wrestling, but unfortunately, one got seen and one didn't. So they paid the free kick. It's how it is.
I think that I understand what you're saying.
I hate this thing of the sense of occasion, because it's still the rule. So in a grand final, the sense of occasion, if it's a free kick, you do not pay it.
Problem is they don't pay that in the grand final. They paid nothing in the grand final.
No, so I disagree with that. I do disagree with that.
They do disagree with that. They let the game go in a granny.
Yes or no?
They absolutely do.
I think that, yeah, but...
Especially in the last 20 minutes of the grand final and it's close, whistle goes away.
Oh, but I don't have to... I think to the letter of the law, if they play to the letter of the law, what do people argue about? That's what annoys me. I know my thing's the inconsistencies, and there probably is 100 of them a game with the Max King and the defender. I can't remember who the defender was. I think it was Ballard. But yes, they're both wrestling. Unfortunately, what the umpire sees is his arms around Max King when he's trying to make a lead. You're impeding his lead. Like, if the ball's travelling towards him, they're going to pay a free kick. So what is it different where it's downfield? Like...
Yes. But obviously the umpire's only seen one side of the free kick. That's why he's paid it. But
yeah, but
when you look at the replay,
the umpire can do.
It can't be two players. That's like two players like holding each other by the throat, and then one of them getting called high. And it's just I don't know.
If the umpire sees it, like, it's one of those things. Yeah, I'm for... I think that they have a hard job, umpires. I do think they have a hard job, because I don't even think they know the rules, because the AFL wants to change them every second week. But I'm all for the right decision. If the right decision is made, but then it gets slowed down and we have two decisions that can come from it, I don't think there should be an argument on it. Anyway, Sydney look good, don't they? Yeah. That's not topic there.
They do. That's all right. We normally do on this podcast. That's what Between the 50s all about. Just yabber on about footy for an hour. There's not a lot scripted stuff in this, that's for sure. Sydney do look good. I mean, that's why Amartey kicked 9 goals there. Ball movement, just no one can really stop. Crows stopped it for a half. Well, I think they did for a half. At least 1.5 quarters. Sydney did not have their free-flowing game that they normally do.
Yeah.
But yeah, second half was just they just get their skills are so good, man. They got so many just guys that can kick the footy really well.
Yeah, that's what happens when you have an academy.
That's very true. And the good old Crow Eaters are in a bit of strife. It's obviously just
Great
it
for
has to
you.
be season done for them now.
I can see the
What's
smirk
that?
on your face right now. Great for you, isn't it? I can see the smirk
No
on your
smirk
face.
whatsoever.
I can see the smirk on your face.
Well, Nick's is going to be under a fair bit of pressure now, isn't he? I know it's got to start building on him.
It's got to go higher up. It doesn't start at Nick's. It starts at the top.
Yeah,
and
I totally agree.
I think there's more to the club, and I think Nick's unfortunately is in a bit of a position with a club that are, as I've heard a few times say, a boys' club, and until they get people that shouldn't be in that role out, and to say that they're confident with their list management going forward, yet their list management stinks at the moment. Like, how Dan Curtin isn't playing when they've got all these injuries and they traded up to get him is just beyond me. Like, it's absolutely beyond me. And how
unless those rumours are true
of him wanting to go home.
Yeah, he might be just being like, nah, I'm not bothering.
Maybe, but I don't think either WA team's going to pay the overs to get him at the moment.
Yeah, they need to probably give up 2 first rounders or something along those lines for him.
I think they go, you know what, let's hold out and see how he goes for the next 2 years. Well, get to year 3 and he hasn't lived up to the hype, and you go, here's the first round. Come home, might help you be better. So, but I do think he's a very good footballer. I've seen a bit of him in the SANFL, but I just don't know why he's not playing. Whether there's certain stuff ahead of him or whatnot, and there's something he's doing that he needs to be not doing that he needs to be doing. The same as Dowling. I don't know how he wasn't playing at the start of the year. The bloke averaged
put in a
27
solid 2
disposal
weeks
last year. Yeah, he's a very good very good footballer.
No, I agree. He's been impressive his 2 games. Obviously, Rankin back will be better for the run. But yeah, they're just. I mean, you've got a Burgess who hasn't probably so far turned out to be the pickup the Crows wanted at this point. Obviously, Fogarty kicks his 2-3 every week. But is he ever got to kick you like a big bag of goals? I'm not sure. Thilthorpe is the one you need in the side.
I think Fogarty's got it in him. I just think that the supply has been horrible. I genuinely think the supply has been horrible, and and I think through Thilthorpe or Himmelberg back in the team will make a huge difference in their run. Run forward. It's a key forward that can ruck. They don't have it. They're playing Borlays in the ruck against Brodie Grundy.
Yeah.
And Strawn against Brodie Grundy, a SANFL ruckman. Like, I don't know. I get frustrated with them more than I get frustrated with my team. I think it's just because I live in the state, so I obviously, do it. You're probably a bit similar. You probably get frustrated with Port a lot more than you do with Essendon. Whether that's because you're in the state and you hear everyone about it.
I stop watching. If Essendon are losing, I don't really stop. If Port are playing garbage, I just turn it off. I was like, I can't deal with this rubbish.
I'm the opposite.
Like yesterday.
I'm the opposite.
Well, we'll stick to the rest of the Saturday. Obviously, Friday night, we won't touch on that game too much because we did a live stream on YouTube, our first one, which was pretty cool. So that is on like a YouTube, we did just a watch along and just chatted a bunch of shit for 3.5 hours on watching the game. So obviously Brisbane got over the line. Danaher decided to show up. Zorko killed it, and St Kilda scored over 100 points, which was a damn surprise.
Did you get a little bit nervous towards the end there, mate?
I did. So having to wear a Crows
jersey.
Yeah, if St Kilda come back in the last quarter, I would have had to do this. It was do the podcast, was it, or do a live stream?
Do a live
It was
stream.
do a live stream. Yeah, I
Mm.
was cracking me dacks late in that game, but thankfully the Lions held over the line. They got over the line in the end, and they're a smoky to get in that 8 now. To the first Saturday game, I don't want to don't want to make the podcast even more depressing for
There
you,
was a
mate. But
Saturday
what
Arvo
happened?
game, was there? Was there a Saturday Arvo game?
There sure was.
I mean,
What
seriously,
happened
we got to.
until you stopped watching it?
So it's so unfair. The Bulldogs haven't left Melbourne for 3 weeks, and we've had to travel off a bye. Look, I don't know, man. I really don't know. It was abysmal. It was like I'm lost for words. That's how frustrating it was. There was no cohesion, no cohesion in the team. Like I'm sick of this whole argument of, oh yeah, we've got to travel so much. Like that's why we pull in some bad performances. They shouldn't be that bad. And we're coming off
They're
a
not just
bye.
have a bye.
Exactly. Yeah. We're coming off a bye. Like if we've played 8 games on the road or 4 games on the road, like we did with the gather round period, where we played Carlton and Port Adelaide, and we were in Adelaide for 2 weeks, and we came home and we had a poor one against West Coast, who is a team from Western Australia. We shouldn't have had a poor one, but that was excusable. I know West Coast, we should beat West Coast, but that was excusable. They were up about at the time. They've just won their first game in probably 30 years. And we were coming off a very hard, I believe, a hard stint in Adelaide. We did well. This one, though, we've just come off a 90-point win against Melbourne. We're up and about. We've drawn with Collingwood. We've actually gone, since the West Coast game, very well. We'd only lost to Sydney. And look what Sydney's doing to everyone. In a game that,
exactly.
We didn't kick straight and had a bit of a, we had the whole Cam McCarthy stuff. And this one was just, I don't know. Yeah, I've seen lots of comments too saying, oh, well, it's a bit unfair. Like, no one ever wins off the bye. Like, we fucking should be winning off the bye. The Bulldogs were banged up.
You should be.
Bont had the flu. And we just let him run around like Michael Jordan out there. Like, fuck me. Yeah. Like, I don't know. Like, you know me. Next week we'll win and I'll say we're going to win the flag. So.
Yeah, you got to be an optimistic, don't you? But it just shows to me how close the season is in terms of if you're off your game, you will lose. Simple as that.
We didn't lose though. We got smashed.
Yeah, you did.
You
look at every. Go on, sorry, mate.
4 of the first 6 goals of the game, and we were 3 goals up. So, like, how from that moment on, a switch flipped for Western Bulldogs and they kept playing, but it didn't flip for us. And they got to a 30-point lead and they just kept going. And we couldn't get it back under 30 points.
If you look at every team in the 8 this year, they've almost had a game where they've been terrible. Like Sydney lost to Richmond, of all teams. Mm-hmm. Carlton got flogged by Sydney. Essendon got flogged by Port. Collingwood, early on, they lost to St Kilda to start with. Who's after them? I've forgotten. But Melbourne's lost a couple of...
It's you guys, isn't it? Oh, no, you guys are...
Yeah, we're 4th. Yeah, so Giants have lost some stinkers.
Yeah, but I don't think teams have been smashed like we did on the weekend.
Geelong almost lost to 100 points by the Gold Coast.
Yeah.
But
yeah, and they got overrun by
Doggies
Sydney,
are back in the race, but yeah, it's a game you forget and move on quickly from, isn't it? Just about.
No. No. There needs to be some hard truths out of this game.
Oh, I'm talking about you as a fan.
Oh, me as a fan? Oh,
yeah.
I don't even follow football anymore. We're turning this into a into a SNFL podcast because fuck the
Sandful
AFL. Nah,
podcast. Nah, bugger that because
yeah,
the Maggies haven't won a game.
yes, they have. They
I'll
won
be
on the
honest, I
weekend,
didn't
mate.
watch that game. What's that?
Yeah, they did on the weekend. The
Did they?
Magpies.
Oh,
Yeah, they
wow,
fielded their 47 AFL players and beat West.
about time. But yeah, I didn't watch the Dockers game. I was obviously out at Paraka Footy, almost a cricket club, at Paraka Footy Club on the weekend. So I missed that, but I did see the second half of what we spoke about before, the Richmond Hawthorn game. Do you a solid question? I think now, can Hawthorn make the 8? Do you reckon they can get there?
They can, but I don't think they will.
Yeah,
I just don't think they will. But in saying that, Freo, Melbourne, Gold Coast, Bulldogs, Port are even now in that mix. Collingwood have probably skipped away a little bit from it now. They're all within striking distance now for Hawthorn.
they are. Yep, they Hawthorn are literally a win from potentially being inside the 8, but more than likely a win to be on the same amount of wins. Just percentage is a bit low with 92%. But
The only probably
um,
disadvantage for them
yeah,
is in the next period is like Gold Coast play Freo this week, so one of them teams is going to get further ahead of Hawthorn, if that makes sense. I
yeah,
think they've
yeah.
got the bye this week, don't they? The Hawkers.
Hawthorn,
Yeah.
yes, they do. Yep,
So they're
yeah, they do.
technically
So
two.
yeah, a couple of
They're probably
teams.
going to be 2 games out by the end of the round, which is in the way this season's going is not much. But they've also got to play a lot of teams around that mark, and I think it does probably depend where they play them. That's how I see it anyway. I think
Yeah, true. I mean, I'd assume their draw would be relatively easy because they were rubbish last year. So, I know we don't play them again. Almost glad we
yeah,
don't. But yeah, they were. I thought they played alright pretty decent on Saturday Arvo. One thing I will quickly say about that game is the Wizard needs to settle down a little bit. I reckon. I always forget his name. Something Watson.
Nick Watson.
Yeah, him. Yeah, ducking and diving around. I can't stand it. But anyway, yeah, I don't know. Like obviously sometimes there is a free kick, but yeah, I don't know. I know you want characters in the game, so I shouldn't critique him too much, but I just
No, I
find that
agree.
if he was against Essendon and he kicked 1 goal 5, and that 1 goal he kicked, he was shushing the crowd in his 4th game, I'd be like, "You're a maggot."
Yeah,
It's funny because it wasn't my team, but at the same time, I was like, "Oh man, don't get too carried away with yourself." But you you want those characters in the game, I suppose. So
yes, yeah,
makes it entertaining, and so what is confident, I suppose. On to 2 Sunday games. We'll skip the last one. But the North Melbourne Collingwood game was unbelievable to watch. I couldn't believe what I was seeing in the first quarter. I couldn't believe what I was seeing throughout the whole game. Were North Melbourne hard done by in the end, do you reckon?
no. They were 9
Why is
goals
that,
up.
do you reckon?
They were 9 goals up.
Yeah, true. They shouldn't lose it from there.
They shouldn't lose from 9
Shouldn't
goals
lose it
up. I
from there.
know what they're saying, and it is what happened, but they also made some changes which probably could have lost them the game. I mean, they let that Dacos run free when the game was in the balance. Like,
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
they were harsh done by in a sense, but I don't think they were harsh done by overall. I think that they should have buried that game when they had the chance.
they should have. Yeah, that taking the tag off Nick Dacos was the complete change of the game. Like it changed the momentum at that point onwards. That
Yeah,
was a odd move by Alistair Clarkson. But I mean, the Pies just find a way every time, and it actually starts to annoy me.
Well, I did see you wrote
They
that
just
there's a bit of a fluke or they're a bit lucky, but at what point is it not luck
um,
anymore? Because they keep they keep doing it.
true, but a goal they got in the last quarter. Nick Dacos has gone to soccer it off the ground. It's come off like someone's like shoulder and landed like to Cripps, like in 50 meters of open space in the middle of the ground. And everyone
Yeah,
was like, "Oh, Nick Dacos, Nick Dacos." I'm like, "That's a pure fluke. He just threw that on his boot, and it ended up like right in
yeah, I
like
get that.
3 Collingwood players' hands." And that's when I was like, I think that's reminded me when I almost wrote that status. I was just like, "Piss off, man."
Yeah, no, I get that. No,
They just seem to that stuff goes their way all the time. And I mean, yeah, there's definitely it's not a fluke that they always just get over the line, but all the little like moments in the game seem to always swing their way in that scenario.
yeah,
But yeah, I mean, North Melbourne shouldn't have lost 9 goals up.
no,
They theoretically should have had a 50-meter penalty at the end. Zach Fisher had a shot that looked like it was going through, to be honest.
yeah,
Would have been nice for the Supercoach score if he kicked it as well.
it would have been beautiful.
But yeah, that game was sting for North. Their premiership reunion from 90. When was that? 99?
Yeah, 15 years, 25 years since
Must
that
have been
year
50,
reunion. 25.
yeah, 25. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, 99. So, might have to get them back every week because they played pretty good. I think Collingwood were well off.
Oh, that Collingwood
And
were.
obviously they got some injury.
Collingwood was so. But the thing is, too, North Melbourne didn't miss.
They did not miss, correct.
They kicked. I think they had 18 goals too. And then in the last quarter, I think they finished on. I think they finished on 19 goals,
19-4.
19-4 or 19-5. Yeah, so like they kicked 1 goal 2 in the last quarter, but
Yeah.
they didn't fucking miss. It was
No, they
it was
did not
weird.
miss. Cherry was kicking it from the boundary, like
Yeah.
it
So
was crazy.
I guess it's good to see there's some upside there for North Melbourne, considering I thought they weren't going to win a game for the next decade.
Yeah. No, definitely there was players that showed a bit that well probably had their best games for their career or for this year or for North. For sure. Bobby Hill or Jeremy Howe's, Mark? What do you prefer?
Jamie Elliott's drops all of them.
Sorry. So sorry, Jamie Elliott, not Jeremy Howe. My bad.
I'm Jamie Elliott. I think Jamie Elliott's is better, but Bobby Hill's was good.
Yeah, I agree. I do agree.
But I will say this: Darcy Fogarty could have had the car on Saturday night because that thing was going to be huge, but he dropped it.
Yeah, that was actually.
That was going to be massive.
It was. I do. Yeah. Yeah.
So
that was pretty close.
I'm Jamie Elliott. I think he did it on a taller player. Ben Mackay's a bit taller
tired there, mate.
Yeah, mate. Sorry.
It's been a long Monday.
Ben Mackay's a bit taller than Jackson Archer, is it? So, I mean, yeah. I'm going to go Jamie Elliott. It just sucks.
I'll go Jamie Elliott too.
There's no way that Collingwood can lose Mark of the Year now, is there?
No, you wouldn't have thought so. Yeah, even though it hurts me because it's on an Essendon player's head. Jamie Elliott for me. Yeah. Bobby Hills looked a lot better because he got that second ride. Like he lifted up after he took the mark.
Yeah.
That made it look so much better than it was. But yeah, they won't lose the car, whatever they get these days. On to the last game. I'll be honest, I only watched a half of it. It was a pretty ugly game to watch.
What a way to make my weekend.
Yeah, I know. I bet. But Port got issues, big issues. Giants kicked inaccurate. They probably really should have been a bigger margin if you look at this. I mean, they both teams actually missed plenty of shots, but the Giants were 0-6 at quarter time.
Yeah.
And Toby missed like 4 of them.
Port just aren't as good as everyone says they are. But
No.
I was one of the people that picked them to win the flag at the start of the year. So,
Oh,
and I'll take getting that wrong every year. Trust me. Like, um,
I know you will. Yeah, but
but they're just.
I
You hear their supporters.
I
This is
see
our
big problems
year,
in their
but
forward line.
I see problems everywhere.
Well, there
I
is
see
problems everywhere. I mean, yeah,
their midfield's going to be strong. We know their midfield's going to be
yeah,
strong.
yeah.
Um, but have they got two? Are Butters and Horn Francis two alike? Are they two both trying? Do they both try too hard? I mean, you want players to try too hard. But what I'm saying is, do they try to do too much when they get the footy?
It's hard because I don't know if they're defensively that great at the moment. Like, they do have games where they are, and Horn Francis can really, when he attacks, obviously they both attack the ball really hard. But it seems to be when, like, Cripps and Walsh in the last quarter the other week just took complete control of that game, and none of them three, well, Rosie didn't play, but couldn't stop them. Couldn't get there,
Yeah,
they just weren't there to be seen.
and Butters couldn't
Obviously
handle the
Drew
tag.
went to, yeah, well, he's got to have to learn that because he's copped it, 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah,
And Drew went to Tom Green, and I don't really know how that turned out being, but
well,
they're
Green
just
didn't have
not
a
scoring
great
enough
game.
goals. Only 6 goals.
Yeah, Green didn't have a great
Um,
game.
no. What do you know? He did have 30 touches, but only 88 fantasy points. So
I think the forward line's there though because like there's a chance for the forward line to be there, but Ollie Lord, Georgiadis, and Marshall haven't played much footy together. So
no, I agree.
you
I agree.
and I think
But
that's
why
where
did you
that.
sub Lord off? Made
Uh,
0 sense to sub him off.
oh yeah, and then Connor Rosie was hurt again. So I don't know what's
Yeah,
going on there. Like, are they rushing Connor Rosie back too much? Just because I think they're going to look back on that decision to play him during the showdown, and it's going to hamper the whole year because he shouldn't have played in that game and didn't get the right recovery the first time.
yeah.
Um,
Been a turning point since.
they have paid overs for two very average defenders, in my opinion. I don't really rate
Yep,
Brandon Zerk-Thatcher, and I don't really rate Radigalia.
me neither.
They
No.
don't have a first round pick this year, so they could be in danger of falling out of the eight. And I mean, I'll take it because Freya's got it, but having 9, not having a top 10 draft pick.
Yep. It's a interesting times at Port Adelaide because Ken Ingley's always under pressure, but the amount of people that have had Kenny's back in terms of supporters for so long are now starting to go like, Kenny is the problem. Get rid of Kenny. So
What's his last year anyway,
it
isn't
might
it?
not be his problem. What's that?
It's his last year anyway.
He's got one more.
No, it's this year, isn't it?
No, he's got next year. He got a
Oh, did he sign
2-year
a 2-year?
extension. Yeah. So,
Okay.
um,
Another year of Port means shit.
I don't
Good.
know. I just think they've got issues, all over the ground. You're right. I don't rate Zerk Thatcher. I don't care what anyone says. I'm not being biased when I say this. Is we won that trade.
But that's
And we
because
will win that trade going forward.
It's because the Doro's a flog, and you know.
Well, we only really got Xavier Dersmer, and I think maybe there was a pick swap, something like that.
You got a second round, they got a fourth round. I'm pretty sure.
Something like that.
Yeah,
I reckon it might be the other way around, actually.
but
but
I mean,
I think
I'm not sold. Yeah, they went after a bit like the Crows. They went after a key defender. Like they went after Mackay. We know that they went after Mackay. They went after an actual key defender, and they didn't get quite the player they wanted. And it's similar with what Crows look like they've done this year. Is they've gone after players like they've apparently had their hat in the ring for Gould and McCluggage. Who else has re-signed? There's been a few others that have re-signed. Hayward. They've had their hats in the ring for them, and they're not going to get the top echelon ones, and they're going to probably end up with Elliot Yeo. who's still a great footballer, but he's 31. Like, so
Yeah, I wouldn't be grabbing Elliot Yeo. Yeah.
that's just unfortunate for Port. They can suck it. But yeah, they've just I don't think they recruit. I always think they recruit very well. I normally it normally shits me how well they recruit. Like Finlayson's first season, they got for fucking 2 packets of chips.
And they did.
Dixon, I think they probably ended up winning that trade overall. I think Dixon's been very good, but unfortunately, his just body hasn't held up. I've always rated Dixon. They got Horn Francis. I still think for fucking cheap as chips because they included Willie Rioli that year. They also got Fantasia for a year where he was pretty good. He had a good year there for Port. They got Burton.
They got
for
Stephen Motlop.
Yeah, so I think they recruit quite well, but I just think the last couple of years they've recruited pretty poorly. So
Yeah, well, what they've done is they've realised their back six has always been their problem because when you got like last year Trent McKenzie playing full back, he's just not tall enough. Poor
but
guy.
he was
And when he
good.
gets injured, he was actually all right. But then who else would you have? They had Cleary for a while there. I don't know where he's at now.
I think he's retired. Or
Yeah.
oh no, I think he's running around. I think he's running around in the twos.
I don't think he's signed though to them.
No, but I think he's running around in the twos still. I'm pretty sure I saw
in the twos. Yeah.
Tom Cleary running around in the twos when I was there a few weeks
and obviously
ago.
You had Tom Jonas as well, but he was more of an intercepting defender. But yeah, their back six is just a bit average for mine. I agree, especially their 3 tools. I don't think they can fit the 3 tools in. I think they're too slow.
And I think they made the wrong choice with the captain.
So do I.
I think they've just picked the best player, not the best leader. Oh, I mean, I don't think Connor Rosie is their best player. You know me, with the arguments we've had.
Yeah,
but I think they just picked the best player.
I agree. I would have gone with
Cleary is still on Port's list.
See, that's crazy. He's got to be better than Zerk Thatcher.
Don't know why he's not getting a run. Whether he's injured.
That's crazy. I would have gone with Butters, and Horn Francis to me is as well a future captain. Yeah. Rosie doesn't scream of captain material to me, does he?
No, but I think he leads by playing football. I don't think he leads by telling the boys what to do. I think he leads by playing football. I could be wrong with it. I mean,
yeah,
I'm sure if I talked to JB about it, our friend, he'd have a very different opinion on it, and he would just call me biased. But I think they have. I think they have a lot of other people that could have probably been the leader. Well, not a lot of other people, but a lot more people that lead it. And you want to go to war for. I don't feel like Connor Rosie would get you up and want to fight for. Like, no, I don't feel like he's got the Rory Sloane type where you want to run through a brick wall for him.
No, I don't think so either. No.
Yeah.
I agree. I was about to say something and I totally forgot.
Well, I actually think I actually don't think they've got any people like that because I don't think Horn Francis is like that. I think he just wants to play footy. So
he's not ready yet. Yeah, Butters is probably the one. But yeah, they don't really have. Yeah, they've got a lot of fancy players.
Yeah.
And it doesn't help when Travis Boak has kicked 0 goals, 12 for the year.
Yes, that doesn't help.
Man, his disposal stinks.
Yeah, but again, he's probably on his last legs.
Probably should have already been. I don't know.
He had a good enough year last year to warrant a contract, though.
He did, but is he in best 20? Obviously, he's best 22 at the moment because there's no one else.
Don't think they got much in the sand for.
Josh Sin isn't exactly setting the world on fire.
That team's getting reamed each week also.
Yeah, they are.
No, Sin's injured.
And now is he? Oh, yeah, but he paid like okay in the ones.
Yeah, he broke his collarbone.
I think. That's right, he did too.
He was playing
Butter suspension.
Give him life.
I think stiff, but
It's stiff, but also he's had 2 offences that he probably should have gone for. So, not the Meek one, but he probably should have gone for the Banfield one. So he's probably fought fire with fire.
That's a 50-50 one, yeah.
He's probably fought fire with fire, and this time they've gone, third time, mate, sorry. Like,
yeah.
I think they challenge it and he
It's
might
just
get off.
annoying. Yeah, I'm assuming they'll appeal it, but I just thought because Kennedy got off, or Hewitt, whatever it was, and then obviously Hogan literally punched that Carlton player in the face and got off. But he was given a week originally, and then they took it to the tribunal, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that's what Port will do.
Yeah, probably.
And see what happens, I suppose. But yeah, just another week of the match review panel just making it more confusing every week, just like some of the umpiring going on. That was actually going to be my last point before we wrap up. Is some of the decisions. I don't want to blame the umpires because it's really hard. It would be really hard to umpire. We almost need to make the game a bit more simpler. There's too many interpretations of certain rules, and it's just even the holding the ball rule.
It's not. It's everyone has a different interpretation. That's the problem. It's not what the rule is.
Correct.
It's because you have interpretation. It's the same with insufficient intent. Everyone has a different interpretation of it. And we saw one on Friday night where Josh Dunkley kicked the ball, it went at right angles, and everyone's like, well, that's deliberate. But it shouldn't be deliberate. He can't control how the ball bounces. It's landed 15 metres in from the line and then gone at right angles and gone out of bounds. He hasn't tried to kick that out deliberately. He's kicked it out of defence to trying to think and hoping there's a Brisbane player there, and he's been paid deliberate. And I know we stiff on it, but I think you just need, for that rule, just need last touch. Last touch. Last touch between the 50s. That's patent pending. But last touch between the 50s there, where if it's a handball or a kick, it's last touch. If it's a fumble or off a contest, it's a throw-in. There's none of this deliberate stuff. You don't have an argument with it. And then in the forward line, it's just always a throw-in. Unless if it's blatantly obviously that they've obviously kicked it to the line. You can tell when it's deliberate or not. But
I don't know.
Because
I don't know if I can get around it.
Because then we get rid of this whole thing of, oh, he was tackled over the line. Well, you know, when a player sees someone coming and they walk over the line as they're tackled, well, just throw it in. You know that's going to be the rule. It doesn't matter anymore. I don't think last touch is as bad as it is. Obviously, I've watched it a lot more in the last few years, obviously because of Sandful, and you don't really watch the Sandful.
Yeah, you won't see me watching a game of Sandful. That's true.
And so, but I think last touch would work. That's the one rule I think that would definitely work because you can tell, oh, fuck, it's come off me. It doesn't matter. It's going to be last touch. You know, that's where you have those ones with those soccer kicks where in the Essendon Gold Coast game of, there's no dispute. Whether he's trying to run onto it or not, it was last off him because he kicked it. You handball or kick it, it's a disposal. If it comes off in a marking contest or a spoil, it's a throw-in. It's simple. It simplifies the game so much more easier, and you know what's going on.
Does to a degree. It's just too many rules. It's just too many.
But that's
how many more rules do you have to bring in?
But you're getting rid of a rule and bringing that rule in. That's what you're doing. You're getting rid of deliberate and last touch and insufficient intent.
Yeah, but in half on the ground.
Yeah, but that's fine. Or have it in the whole ground.
No, please don't.
Why?
I reckon I'll stop watching footy if that happens.
Why?
I won't, but you know what I mean.
Why? What's wrong with it if it gets kicked and then it goes over the pack, rolls out of bounds, and the other team just gets the kick?
I hate that so much.
But you won't when you're defending.
I still will.
No, you won't.
I'll hate it less.
You won't hate it when your team's defending.
I'll hate watching it. It's just
we say the
I don't
umpires
know.
have
I'm a
too
footy
much of a.
traditionalist, so
You are, which is fine, but like footy traditionalists need to grow up. That's what they need to do. They need to move with the times.
yeah, but the game doesn't always have to be changing in terms of rules to keep it relevant.
Yes, it does. The game's going to get faster and faster. The players are going to get faster and faster. I think that rule that I say bring in, which is last touch, is actually probably better than half the other rules that have come in.
You look, okay, that's
Like
fair enough point.
I like as we said earlier, like the stand rule, it doesn't exist anymore. Like
No, sometimes it doesn't. No, there's been, I can't remember which game it was. It might have even been the Crows Sydney game, and there was a Crows player marked it. Or it might have been Collingwood, maybe North Melbourne, and a guy marked it near the boundary, and he ran around to kick it, and the guy on the mark walked like 5 steps after a stand, and it's just like, yeah.
Yep.
I don't know what's going on with that rule anymore. I
Same
don't
with
know
the
what's going on with the holding the ball rule.
Yep. And last touch,
Like,
would
it's just
you
so inconsistent.
You know what's going to happen with last touch. I'm telling you.
I don't know. Next minute, 2 players are going to come off their boot at the same time, and they're both going to
So you throw it
argue
in.
about whose free kick it should
Yeah,
be.
so you throw it in. That's what they do in the stand for. They throw it in.
Yeah, but then if it's wrong, then the
How's
news
it
will be
wrong?
like, "Oh, it should have really been his free kick because it come off his foot." And
No, but that's not. That's contested football. That's a contested football. It doesn't matter with that. It's in a contest. If it gets spoiled down to a player's foot and goes out of bounds, it's not last touch. That's contest. That's a contest. It is generally
but
from a
that's just
kick.
bringing up so much
It's
interpretation
not.
even
It's
more.
not. It's not bringing up
It
interpretation
is.
because that's the rule. It's from a
It is.
contest. You can tell it's from a contest. If you can't tell it's from a contest, then it's your interpretation. And I'll write the status again. Russell
I
watches
don't
the
know.
footy blindfolded. But
I don't like it. I just hate the sound of it so much.
last touch is so easy to adjudicate. I believe it's so much easier to adjudicate than an insufficient attempt. You can tell who's.
Have you watched non-SANFL footy with last touch?
I didn't know it was in non. I didn't know that. Because I know they don't have deliberate,
Yeah,
so I didn't realize they had last touch.
It is the most funniest thing to watch. I reckon there were 2 occasions on the weekend where the umpire, the boundary umpire and the normal umpire like spoke for like 30 seconds trying to figure it out.
Yeah. Obviously,
like,
you get that in local footy. I don't think you'd get that as much in the AFL because I think the umpires are obviously a lot higher caliber than the local footy umpires.
Are they?
Yeah,
No, they are.
I think they are.
They very much are. Well, we might leave it there because that's umpiring and rule change. This topic should be a discussion for a full podcast. It's probably worth a full podcast talk of how can Rusty and Big Red improve AFL footy. That'd be a good one, I reckon.
Leave a comment on why the last touch should be in the AFL and why Rusty's wrong.
Definitely none of that. If you do agree with him, definitely comment through or send us comment on our Facebook, or I guess send us a message on our Facebook page and give us some shit if you want to. I'll make sure Cameron reads them all. Anything else, mate, before we wrap up? I reckon I'm just about finished. I got everything written down here on the notes that we've spoken about.
Nothing.
So
BSR got another win on the weekend, I believe.
They did get another win.
Three Mapstone boys run around.
They did. That'd have been good to watch, actually. First time ever,
Yeah,
I've heard.
If I knew the 3 Mapstone boys run around, I may have ventured out there to watch them.
It was over at Paringa, so I think it's about a 3-hour drive.
Definitely not travelling down there. Sorry, Frizy.
Nope. It's up near Renmark, a little bit far. Near Wonka. That bloody place is called.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely got to get out to watch a BSR game. I know I seen him Thursday night, and he dropped 5 players this week. Oh, the weekend just gone because they didn't do the training they were supposed to do.
Good coaching.
Yeah, I agree. Great coaching, and there was
Yep.
all bit of it got heated while he was sitting there Thursday.
That's what
Some
Gazer
messages
need
were
that.
coming through, so
Gazer need that with their coach.
you do. I agree.
They need to get rid of that Gore bloke.
What a Gazer!
Yep.
Oh,
Send
poor
him down
boys! They lost by about 10 goals on the weekend.
I know. I did see the
I
score.
got every stat right. I did some stats for the Gazer Footy Club. Definitely made sure I didn't fudge any Agoris. No, I didn't do player by player. I just did certain stats. But the boys lost, but they actually played all right for the team they got. And we ripped into good old Mitch, which was good fun. I think the poor lad was so sick of it after the game. But
I
yeah.
would have been also.
Oh, well, actually, I do have to give a shout out to I don't even know if he listens to the pod, but Ben Bioli, he said I told him if he kicked 3, I'll give him a shout out. So
Kick 3, good on him.
3. I reckon he could have kicked 2 or 3 more. Missed a couple he normally kicks, Benny. So keep those goals kicking, mate. And yeah, hopefully the Gazer boys can get a win before the end of the season's done. Let's wrap it up there. If you don't know, we have like a YouTube channel that we're kind of starting up now. We went live on Friday. We'll just do it whenever we can, whenever we're both at home and don't have anything on and want to do it. So whether we do it again this week or in a couple of weeks' time. But we're working on more videos to upload to the channel as well, some tier lists and some fun stuff. So check us out on there. Check us out on Facebook. We're starting to use our Instagram a bit more again. So yeah, follow us on all the socials and that. Hope you all have a ripper week. If we'll see, we've got a podcast ready to do on a State of Origin team. I think we spoke about this last week. Cameron's got the South Australian team. I've got the Victorian team. So we'll got to record that and put it up at some point. So we'll keep you updated on that. And want to leave it there, mate. You have yourself a good week. And if we don't hear from you, hope your team's got a bye, doesn't it?
Nah,
they've had the bye already.
We've got the Suns.
Suns. Hope they get a win.
Yep.
The Bombers have the Eagles at home, so hopefully back into the top 3.
Hope you lose that so we
we'll
catch
speak to you soon, mate. What's that?
I hope you lose that so we catch you.
Don't. And we could get up 3rd if we can win. So, to be honest, with the way the weekend went, it went all right. Because Collingwood almost lost, Port lost, and who else lost?
Freo
lost. So we only lost 1 spot in the end. Not too bad. But yeah. Anyway, mate, you take it easy. And thanks everyone for listening, watching, whatever it is. And we'll see you all soon. Catch you later.
Ciao.